Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we're Masechtas Nazir daf Yud Tes. We are going to begin on Yud Tes Amud Aleph, the fourth line from the top. Man Tana Lahad Tana Rabbanan. Who is the Tana based on the following statement? Isha Shenadra ben Nazir. So you have a woman who made a neder, saying that she wishes to be a Nazira, Venitma, and she actually ends up becoming Tameh, V'yacha Chefer Labala. And then her husband annulled the vow. Says Taisus, the Frisha Shtei Turim, she separated the birds, the Oshim Behema, Lahavi Karbanos Nazir Tame. So she did everything. She designated her Karbanos already, and then her husband was Mayfair. And the question is, it was realized then that the neder was actually removed lamafreya, and therefore it's like she was never a nazira at all. So on this, the Gemara says mavia chata sa'of. She still has to bring her chata sa'of, then mavia ola sa'of, but she's not going to have to bring an ola sa'of, as the Gemara is going to explain. So, Rav Chisda. So Rav Chisda says Rabbi Shmuel. This must be Rabbi Shmuel. Why? So the Farsh says dilididei chashav le ola sa'of. That according to him, he says that the Olsa Oaf is Choshev. The Rabbanan L'Tzricha Misnei. According to the Rabban, you don't need to mention this. She'enu Mavia Olsa Oaf. Of course you don't bring an Olsa Oaf. The Ha'amrina an Olsa Oaf Lo Ma'akva. They already said that the Olsa Oaf was not Ma'akev. Lo Ase Ela Mishum Daiden. But Alma, it's just like a gift. It's not Ma'akev. So Upshita She'en Tzricha Hevi. So according to the Rabbanan, it's a davar pashit that you wouldn't have to bring the Ol Sa'of. So therefore, it must be like the Shita of Rabbi Shmuel. Says Taisus, the Marbil El, the Marabel El, Mahahu Alphabi Shul Hevi Olasai. That we said that even if he didn't bring the Ola, he can start counting his Nazirus. Alma Olos Nazir Lab Dairanhu. So he holds that it's not considered to be a gift. The Kapar Tuyaba. The Ikarabanan, the Amil El Oila Dairanhu, he holds it is a gift. So a Milo Tavi Ola Sa'of. It's interesting, it's different. Why, if it's just a Dairan, so then L'char you should be able to bring it. Alvabi Shahefer Labav, their husband was Mayfair. They knew Nazira, Ein Kan Chulin, the whole Amos Matzia Sui Maisi Dar. You can always give a gift. So it's interesting, the way Taisa says it is that L'chara, if it's a Dairan, then why would it say that Eino Mevia Oyas Oaf? Bring the Oyas Oaf, it's a Dairan. So the fact that you don't bring it, it must be because it's not considered to be a Dairan. It's not considered to be a gift, which is the Shita of Rabbi Shmuel, of Rabbi Shmuel. And he says that, that's what he says, that even if you didn't bring the Oyas Oaf, Nazir is a lav Dairan who. Oilos Nazir is not a Dairan. The kapar tuliyaba, and the kapar is attached to it, which means that until you bring the Olos Oaf, you cannot do Nazir. You cannot be do your Nazirus. So Mike Savar, what exactly does this mean? Ik Savar ba maker akar. If the husband really uprooted the whole thing l'mafreya, so chatasayv nami lo leisi, you shouldn't have to bring anything. It was maker akar. It was as though she never made this neder to begin with. Iksaver bal migas gayas, that it's only mekan haba, so also of nami lesi, because she did something wrong. Because the Naziris really is chal, and it just gets removed from this point forward. So why is a chatas of brought, not an also? So iksaver bal maker akar. Really, he completely removes the entire thing. So if that's the case, then l'chayro, why is it necessary to bring a chatas of? Rabbi Shmuel Savak Rabbi Lezer Kafir. The Sanya Lezer Kafir Rabbi Yomi Matam V'Chipro Love Ma'asher Chata Al Nefesh. So this person who's a Nazir is a sinner. He's a Nefesh Chatazeh. What did he sin? El Shisir Atzman Yayin. Separate yourself from wine. Kav Chaimer. Mazeh Shlot Sir Atzman Omen Yayin Nikra Chayte. So someone, if all they did was separate themselves from wine, is a sinner. So in the Mastar Atzmi Kol Davar, because a someone who accepts upon themselves fasting is certainly a Chayte. So I b'habin Nazir Tamiksiv. Yanana feel Nazir Tar Kamrinan. So the question is, I thought the only time you're a sinner is only if you're a Nazir Tameh, you become Tameh. But l'chayra, this is talking about a Nazir Tahar. The Ksever Blazer Kapra, Nazir Tahar Nami Chaytahu. That doesn't make any difference. Even if you're a Nazir Tahar, you didn't become Tameh, just the act of you becoming a Nazir, you're a Chayta. V'hainu time b'diksib Nazir Tameh Choyel b'shana b'chet. So it means you're shana b'chet. Like you did even more. You did even more of a sin. So therefore, that's the pshat. And the reason why I have to bring a chatas oath is because even though if it was removed l'mafreya, nonetheless, it was meker akar. Nonetheless, it's still a chet, and therefore the fact that she did it to make herself into a nazir. Question 9. Isha shenadu ben nazir ben nitma v'yacha cheful abala l'fi eza shita mevia gam es also oaf shefrisha kaidim hafara. So why? So either because the oil's nazir is a daron, is a gift, v'lo kapara, right? So therefore, since oil's nazir is a daron, it's not considered to be a kapara. So therefore, according to this, that's why Lafi Eza Shita Mavia Games also oath. Why would you also have to bring the also oath? Is if you would say that the also oath, Nazir is a darin, so then you could bring it. But not kapara because there's no kapara. Or Balmigas Gaiz will meker akar. That he actually, it was Mekanul Abba, and therefore you would have to bring the also oath. If it was that's the reason why you'd have to maybe bring an also oath. But in the event that it was if it was a mafreya removed, so then l'chay you shouldn't have to bring an also oath, and even a chatas oath except for Rebbe Lezer Kafar. Okay. So let's look at question TA 19. Isha shenadu benazir v'nit me'achal chafar l'bala mevia chatas oath. The enu mevia also oath. So elu shnei devarim muchach mahad the enu mevia also oath. Why don't you bring an also oath? So first of all, probably because Baal maker akar, because the Baal was removed it l'mafreya, so therefore that's the reason why you don't bring an also oath, or because the ola is not a daron. So therefore, as Taisa says, since it's not a daron, so therefore that's the reason why TA24 you can't bring it, because if it was a daron, so why would you not be able to bring it? Right? It must be the fact that you can't bring an also oath. It's not a daron. It's not a gift. Okay. TB 19. Mehema nafkaminas ha'oilim plugta rabban mishmul im oilas nazir tami darin ba'almahu. Is an oilas nazir a gift, or does it come for a kapara? So one is in im ashim nazir tame ma'akim nazir's tahara. You have to actually wait until you bring that carbon to be able to start counting your mate tahara, or le'inyan isha shehefer labal nazirasa achar shenitmas im via olasa the lamandi armor darin hu ba benadava. If you hold it as a darin, you can give it as a nadava. So the fact that it says you don't give, is a right, it's not a darin. Okay, that was TB 25. Which is pretty similar types of questioning. Okay. Weiter. Yotzev nichnas. So if you were in the cemetery, but then you left, and the man sounds like you came right back in, then oyin lo min a minyan, because you have to start bringing karbanos for tuma. But that doesn't make sense. Ketani oyin lo min a minyan mishum diyotza chal nazirus. Why would nazirus be chal? You're still tameh. You were just in the basic verse 5 minutes ago. It does mean just that. It means kagain, as we said before, shiatzu he's of a shun of a tavel, that you went out. You were sprinkled on Yom Shlishi, Yom Shvi, you were Toivel, and then you were already now a Nazir, Tahar, then you entered in and became Tameh. So then we say that's Olam and a Minyan. Because it's only when you are Tahar and then you became Tameh do we say that you bring the Karbanos. Not that you were always Tameh in the basic Varus. In that situation, it is Olam and a Minyan because you don't bring Karbanos. El and Nichnas Hu since he went back in, hu de oilin lo min a minyan. Lo nechnas, if he didn't enter in lo min a minyan. No, lo maboy kamer. Lo maboy yatsa ela filu nechnas, even if he entered lo min a minyan. Obviously, if he left and he didn't go back in, it would be oil min a minyan. But we're talking about nichnas, also he's oil min a minyan. Amulei Rav Kahana Rav Asil Rav, my time la mefarshis one kahalein mili. Why wasn't it explained? Amulahain amina dilma losrechisu. So maybe it wasn't necessary. Okay. And then the Gemara says, Rabbi Lezer Omer lo boy b'yayim, not on that day. Shnemar b'hayamim harishonim yipul ad shihu yamim rishonim. So it has to be at least 2 days of some element of tahara before this would kick in. You can't. It doesn't just mean you're Nazir tahar just for a short amount of time. It has to be at least for 2 days. Omer ula lo Omer Rabbi Lezer elo b'tamish Nazir. That's only referring to someone who is Tameh who became a Nazir. But Nazir Tahar Shenitma, in the situation of someone who was a Nazir Tahar, and then he became Tameh, Fil Yom Echad Saiser. It'll be Saiser even on the first day that you would it gets removed. It's not that you have to wait 2 days for everything to be Saiser. When it comes to someone who's Tahar and became Tameh, even on that day, it's Saiser. As we continue to Yud Tes Amid Beis. Rabbi, my time Rabbi Lezer. Why does Rabbi Lezer say this? Aliba de'ula. So Amar Kra ki tamei nizroi, because the pasuk says. Let's see the pasuk in its entirety. The hizer laHashem esmei nizro, the hevi keves ben shenasai laasham. So he brings a carbon asham. Vayamim harishainim yiplu ki tamei nizroi. So what does this mean? So mishum dehabatuma nazar. Since his Nazirus was started as Tameh. So that's what it's coming to tell us. Eis ve'abaya, hareini Nazir mea yoim, person's Nazir for 100 days. V'nitva betchilas mea, let's say he comes Tameh on the first day of the 100. Yochli he Saiser, you think the first day it's Saiser. Tamalever hayamim rishainim, yiplu, ad shihu lo yamim rishainim. It's necessary that he had to at least be tahar for a couple of days. There's no rishainim. Nitma b'seif mea. Let's say he became tummy at the end. Yochi saiser. You think that would be saiser? Talmud learner hayamim rishainim yipol machlal diikachrainim. So it can't be It can't be that he became tummy on the first day or the last. Nitma b'yoyim mea chasarachas on the 99th. Yochel lo yehi saiser. You think it's not saiser? Talmud learner hayamim rishainim yipol machlal diika achrainim. So therefore, it will be saiser sakoil. It does have Rishon and Achronim, and therefore, if you're tummy on the 99th day, that would count to be Saiser. You can't say that we're talking about a case who was Tameh from the onstart. Meditani Hareini Nazir Mea, it says use Nazir for 100. Venitma. Now, Venitma's mashma that he became Tameh only later on. Even when you started tahar and then became tameh, we still say that there's no chiluk. So how could it be that Ula said, that Rabbi Lezer says that the din of you have to at least be tahar for a day is only b'tameh shenazar, but a nazir tahar shenitma became tameh, it's saiser even on yom echad. But this is a case of a Nazir Tahar Shenitma. And this whole Gemara is saying that on the first day it's not Soiser, because this pasuk of Yomim is a requirement that it has to not be on the first day. So it's a question, in fact, Yufta it is. A question on Ula. Okay. Fine. If you look at the Rush says over here, Nitma b'seif me yochi he saiser hakol of a lamid yoim saiser. Saiser only 30 days, as we saw in the first parak. Techsib b'yoim melois. On the last day, yimei nizro hatar amar b'yom melos temu yimei nizroi. V'tervaya kratzricha. The ilu ksiv el b'yom melois Havimina hayoim kufa aleph shu yom havas karbonoisav. You would think it's on the 101st day. El avol nitma yom kuf. On the 100th day, you would think Saisar Kol. Talmud Rabbi Hayamim Rishayim. The Ilok Siv El Hayamim Rishayim. Havimina nitma biyom hakuf lo Saisar Kolom. Talmud Rabbi biyom Malois. That's not that it's not Saisar anything, but it is Saisar for 30 days. Armeli Rapapul Abaya. Halein Yomim de Kamrina. On these days, the Nafichad, that one went out, Umaschilin train, and two began. Odilm with the Nafkan train of Maschilin Tlasa. In other words, is it that we say you have to wait 1 day, and then on the second day, it's shaykh to say the person comes Tameh? Or is it 2 days and it's the third day? So which one is it? So Lo Havabiyad, didn't know. Also Shalom Rabbi Malay Yiplu Ksiv. It says Yiplu. Says the Mefarish, Damashmil Dula Havin train Benefilo. Going to Nafkan train Vailas Tlos. It has to be that 2 days went by, and now it's the third. The Israch Michtav Yomi Israch Michtav Yiplu, which may be what we just saw in the Rosh. The Iksav Rachmani Yomi Lo Kasav Yiplu Havamina Ad Nafkin train Vailan Tlosa. Kasav Rachmani Yiplu. So it's maybe not the case that it's you have to wait until the third. Because of Yiplu, because of Yomim, Havimina Filchad, because of Rachmani Yomim. You would think even on the first day, that's why it says Yomim. Okay. Mastisen. Mish Nazir Naziros Harbe. Someone who made numerous levels of Nazirus, the Hishlam as Naziros, so, and he finished it. Yachach Bol Aretz. So he finished all of his Nazirus, and then all of a sudden he goes to Eretz Yisrael. Says Taisvis, Lav Davka b'mikra ba'alma the loisagi the loyasel Eretz Yisrael. Lack of karbanos. If he has to go to Eretz Yisrael to bring his karbanos, lahashim nezirusai. Loimer k'di'islei lomar k'di'islei. So obviously he is going to Eretz Yisrael afterwards to be able to complete his nazirus. So Beis Shammai Omrim Nazir Shloishim Yoyim. Beis Shammai says, the Gemara is going to explain. There's a kanas min Rabbanon shegazu be'eretz ha'amim. The fact that he was outside in Chutz La'aretz, the Gazulim Tuma. There's a Gzera Midrabanan, and therefore he has to do Nazirus another 30 days. So Minatayra Vadi Tahar V'yatzalidate Nazirasai. Midraisi definitely finished his Nazirus, but Midrabanan were Geyser Tumas Eretz Ha'amim. Yisrael Omrim Nazir Batchila. Says Taisus, Lachsul Lahaskil Kol Min Yanoi Gam Dir Beis Hill Knas Midrabanan. According to Beis Hill, he's even more strict. He says he has to do the entirety of the Nazirus again, Eretz Yisrael. Masbilani Amalka Shahalach Benola Milchama. So Hiloni Amalka, her children went to war. The Yomer, she said, Im Yavu B'ni Min Milchama B'Shalom. If my children come back from war in peace, the Hey Nazirah, I'll be a Nazir. Sheva Shanim for 7 years. Uvavana Min Milchama, and her children came. Ba'is Nazirah Sheva Shanim. And Hiloni Malka, in fact, was a Nazir for 7 years. Uvasayv Sheva Shanim, at the end of those 7 years, also Eretz. She went to Eretz Yisrael. Baru Beis Hill, Shehi Nazir Oid Sheva Shanim, Acheres. Beis Hill said you have to be a Nazir another 7 years. Uvasayv Sheva Shanim, after those 7 years, Nitma, she became Tameh. But Nipta's Nazira, Eser V'achas Shana. She had to do, it was Saisar HaKoil, so she had to become a Nazir again 7 more years. Amar Yehuda Lo Haisa Nazira El Arba Asri Shana. She was only a Nazira for the period of 14 years, and we're going to explain why. So Katani Reisha Beis Shammai Omrim Nazir Shloishim Yoyim. So he said that once you go back to Eretz Yisrael, so you're going to be tummy for 30. You're a Nazir for 30 days. You have to do the whole thing all over. Lemba b'halkamifli. The Beis Shammai Savri Eretz Ha'ami Mishim Gusha Gazulel. Says the Mefarish, V'lo Mishum Avira. It's not because of the air that's tamei. B'havi Kalisha Tumasa, and the Tumah is weak. Mishum Hachi Sagel B'Shloshim Yoyim. Therefore, since it's only on the earth, on the clouds of earth, therefore, because of that, the Gzer is only for 30 days. So we continue to Chaf Amar Aleph, Beis Hillel Savri Mishum Avira Gazulel. And when it comes to that, we're even more chomer. Therefore, you have to do the whole thing. Lo, the Kol Yom Mishum Gusha Gazulel. So Beis Shammai Savri B'Stam Nazirus Kanisna. We just kanas you on what Stam Nazirus, just 30 days. Beis Hillel Savri Ki Kenisna Betchilas Nazirus. When we can ask you, it's Betchilas Nazirus. So they both hold it's because of Eretz of Gush, because of the clods of earth. But nonetheless, we say that the question is how far of Xer do we go? 30 days or the entirety of the Nazirus? Okay, we'll stop there. Look at question 10. So before we see question 10, look at this Taisus. The fact that we're guys are on air, it's only the Rabbanon. Beis Hillel Savi Mishum Gusha Gazru, the Kivan the Dina Kikever Tzarach Lister Shiister HaKoil. Since actually it's that Beis Hillel holds that it's because of Gush, and we're concerned of there may be a kever there, so therefore it's Saiser everything. Mishum de Mechalfa Eretz Oamim B'Kvaros. Because a person can get confused between Eretz Oamim and Kvaros, and therefore that's the reason why it's Tuma is Saiser basically everything. Question 10. Mi shenazir nazirus harim be'erachabol aretz. Kamu hu saiser, so it's either 30 days of the whole thing. Mi savrin mishim gusha gazru leha. Ruma svar dehachman yemer lo pligi mishamei al beis Hillel. So it's saiser when it comes to if you hold gusha, so possibly as Taisus says, lefi gir sasam. Your soiser kol mishum nemachalfa betumas kever diraisa, because you can get this confused between a kever, or the clouds of earth, and the what's going on and a kever. Question TA25. Misha goes in Naziris harbe v'hishlim be'shamir aminos shloishim v'solim nazir b'chil b'maykim yafagi. So either they argue bedin eretz oamim if it's gusha v'havli ketumas kever shesaiser hakoil, or mishum avira, or it's because of avira. O de pligi ikansin mistam nazirus o betchilo kli alma mishum avira. So again, it's according to Beis Shammai eretz oamim mishum gusha gazulel. So there's like different girsas over here, but according to one girsa of Taisus, Gusha would be the reason to be Saiser Sakoil, because it's comparable to, again, a Kever. Okay, so that's what question 25 says again, that if it's Eretz Amim is because of Gusha, then, or Mishum Avira. That's the whole question. O plagi din eretz oamim mimishum gusha gazru v'havle ketumas kever shesayis harkol or mishum avira. O plagi whether we kanas a little bit or entirety 30 days of the whole thing. Ad kan.